I'm Katie Alexander, the Family and Consumer Sciences Extension Agent in Webster County. And our lesson today is Life Story, How Your History Can Help You. This lesson does have an evaluation that goes along with it. So if you get it from your extension office, it's a real quick one page. The back page is just your information. And if you'll turn that in after this lesson, we would greatly appreciate it. So with this lesson, you could do with your club, the one thing to start it would be to do an icebreaker. Have everyone think of a memory, whatever memory they want to, take a couple of minutes, and then introduce themselves and share that memory with the group. This way everybody kind of gets to know them, and you'll realize how different everybody's memories are. Somebody will pick a memory that's probably very recent as far as a vacation, and then other people may think of a memory that is from their childhood. So, and that's okay. It's just to get to know everybody and to start thinking about memories, because that's kind of what makes up your life story, especially if you're just starting your life story now, documenting it. You'll want to go back and recreate some of those memories. And one of the ways to do that, of course, is with pictures. A lot of people have pictures around their house, in their office, and just by looking at it, some people may know the people in the pictures. You can kind of tell why that picture's significant, like wedding pictures and things like that. But then there'll be other pictures that maybe are only relevant to that person, that they need to tell you that story. Like a picture like this that's kind of out of focus. You may not know who they are. That would be one. Even, because this is me and my great-grandmother, I'd probably need to explain that to my husband, why it's important. And it's not the best picture, but it brings back memories as far as her laugh, the dresses she always wore, and her always baking something. So that's memories that you could tell and start documenting as part of your life story. You can get creative and do activities to start documenting your life story with your family members, with friends. Something like going through and cutting out, magazines, newspaper clippings, whatever you want, and Mod Podging it on something. Like this is a frame my sister did for me back in 2001. So it's 17 years old, but I can look at it and it brings back memories of certain things, why she put those things on there. And so hopefully that'll be something, I'll keep for a long time to come. So that's sort of what we're going to get into with this lesson. Like I said, it doesn't matter your age. Just go ahead and start documenting it now, because you may think everybody knows your life story or the important things, but you'll realize once you start talking, some of these memories that come back that you share will benefit your family members and future generations to come. And of course, like we said, life story reinforces your uniqueness. It's important to account the series and events of things that make up your life that define who you are. The story is important because it helps explain, where you've been, how you got there, and where you're going. There are several handouts that go along with this lesson. I'll try to point them out as we go along. Of course, the first one is life story, what it is, and how do you write it. It kind of goes into more explanation about how to get this started. And like we said, it promotes quality communication and relationships, quality of life, legacy building, mental healthiness, future planning and decision making, and an active brain. And we'll go into a little bit more of those topics through this lesson. And so one of the first things you can do with your group is an activity of shared experiences. And it has a handout that goes along with it. You just basically write down, maybe partner with one or two people. Think about a memory you want to talk about, like take a historic event like 9/11, and then give them 2 or 3 minutes to write down their memory from that day. And then come back and share. And you realize everybody's memories are different. It's the same historic event, but everyone has different experiences and emotions and things that they felt and where they were during that event. So that's good to kind of be an icebreaker as well, and to get the conversation started even with your family members, to kind of get it started talking and documenting your life story and help build those bonds and relationships. Okay, the next couple of things we're going to talk about are a couple of different stories. This story is about Dottie. She is a resident at an Alzheimer's, an upscale assisted living for Alzheimer's patients and dementia. And the staff wanted to kind of get a better knowledge about Dottie, so they were walking through her apartment with her and her son and going around, and he was talking about the different knickknacks and pictures and furniture and things that were in her apartment and why they were important. And one of the focal points was this picture of a French countryside landscape. And to the son, he thought this was very important because that was a vacation spot her and her husband would go to. But when they talked to Dottie about her most, memories that she thought of now, it was of her first car ride with her great-grandparents. The French landscape didn't mean anything to her then or at that time. It used to probably, but the son didn't realize that she was more going further back, and her first car ride was what was most memorable to her, and that picture that used to be very, very important to her was not her focal point anymore. So letting the staff know that, and then even her son getting to know that, helped share that story and help him understand. So of course, with the life story is to promote communication, and this did that by them going through and him learning something about his mom, the staff learning about it, and like I said, building and sharing those bonds. The next story is about Ted. Ted is a older gentleman who has moved into a residence for Alzheimer's patients as well. He has lived in his home for the past 50 years. The past 6 years he's been in his home by himself because his wife passed away. So he's moved into this Alzheimer's facility, and the staff was seeing that every night he was walking around checking doorknobs, checking windows, and just seemed kind of agitated. And so they kept trying to get him to go back to bed, and it finally got to where they were giving him medicine and just to get him to relax and to get him to go to sleep. So after a few days of that, the staff talked to him and kind of learned a little bit more about his life story. And he told them that for the past 50 years, every night he went around and checked his home security by checking the doorknobs, checking the windows to be sure everything was locked and secure, and then he could rest. So the staff, learned from that, and every night he would go around with one of the nurses and check a few doors and windows, and then when she said, everything looks secure, Ted, thank you, then he relaxed and he could go to bed. So it kind of helped him, make that transition to the new place, but still doing something he had done for 50 years that just gave him peace of mind. And they wouldn't have known that had they not talked to him. So of course that goes into your life story, promoting your quality of life, explaining the behavior like it did with Ted, his night wandering. It wasn't sundowners, it was just a habit he had for the past 50 years, and they understood that once they talked to him. So it increases their knowledge, and it also provides a dual sense of empowerment. So of course life story can also help promote healthy caregiving relationships. It gives them a complete understanding of each other, it builds their trust, and it adds a greater sense of support and well-being. And of course another handout kind of goes along with that more in depth is enhancing quality care relationships through life story. So that's another handout that would go into a little more detail on just that topic. And then of course life story, like we've talked about, promotes your legacy. There's different types of legacies. Material legacy is of course money, property, your things, your family heirlooms. Your legacy of values is your personal, social, and cultural values and beliefs. And of course biological is your passing on of the genes and health conditions and everything like that genetically. Of course that goes into your health history. Your health history, knowing that health legacy will help your doctors as far as things, diseases and stuff that run in your family, so they can be preventative with you, know what tests to run, when to run it, and to help you live a better life by knowing that health history. And of course, another handout with that is legacy building through life review. And with all that, it's not just health, but also mental healthiness is promoted through telling your life story. Of course, being mentally healthy means that you have a balance, stability, and focus to enjoy life, achieve goals, and maintain a healthy self-esteem. And all of this, having a healthy mind, is taking time for yourself, for reflection, for attaching meaning to your life story, being aware of our senses, and strengthens our core and defines our identity. And this can also be a social activity, which is good for your mental health and a healthy brain. is interacting with family, friends, club members, and discussing your life story and sharing those memories and writing them down for future generations. And it can also help in planning and future decision-making, whether it be with finances and retirement or even end-of-life decisions, which is typically stuff people don't want to talk about. But if you go ahead and start your life story now and documenting and going through memories and things, even discussing maybe how someone in your family, their end of life, maybe you don't want that to happen, or maybe they did something that you do not want, you could go ahead and document that. At least your family would know one way or another, just to help them with the end of life type things. And another thing is a bucket list. That's an activity you can do, is to write down a bucket list. And it can be anything simple, as far as, it doesn't have to be big plans, just small things that you want to achieve. And there is a handout, a bucket list of things, aspirations, plans, dreams, and then you can put down a date or an age. It's not set in stone, so if you don't reach one of those by a certain age, you can always change it, but it's just a kind of a good thing to go back to and to kind of get you thinking about stuff you want to do in your lifetime, so then you're not thinking back, I wish I would have done this, and things like that. We all have some of those regrets, but this will kind of help get it started, and hopefully you can accomplish some of those things. And like we've said, mental health is having an active brain, which kind of reflects back to the social activity, mental activity with the legacy building, and of course physical activity is always good for your mind and body. So the third activity is to share life experiences, and that is of course another handout, and it's just one where you can write down a significant experience or event. It doesn't have to be historical, it's just something that happened to you, and then you write down the age, the date when it happened. This would be something for family members, to look at and realize things that are important to you, maybe things you've experienced, that weren't historical, but just personal. So that's a good resource to have and a good way to get your life story started and documented. And so of course your life story, as we mentioned, has a lot of positive things. It strengthens your communications, relationships, quality of life, contributes to your legacies, promotes mental healthiness, and encourages planning and future decision making, and supporting an active brain, all of that we have discussed. So I hope this information helps you start your life story and helps you start documenting it for your future generations and sharing some stories and hopefully creating some laughs and some stronger relationships and bonds.